Wins for the start of this America's Cup could well play into the hands of New Zealand, but let's see if Jimmy Spithill and Oracle Team USA can answer that. Let's join our commentary team, Alistair Eakin and former America's Cup sailor Ken Reid.
So a different dynamic to the match racing now than it is the match. The pressure that much greater and so much strain and stress on each of these crews. These moments absolutely critical in the pre-start.
And they're back early. Oracle led back very early back to the starting line. Still 48 seconds to kill, and look at how close they are to the start line. Any little cunning stunts by the New Zealanders. They have their option right now if they want to push and press and be the aggressors. Very good. There goes New Zealand trying to come in and possibly do a little bit of a hook.
So the timing of these maneuvers, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, absolutely key.
Again, Oracle very close to the starting line. New Zealand is laying back here. They're going to pull the trigger several seconds early and try to just have more pace. Oracle's very close to the start and even struggling to keep off of it. New Zealand's going to be going way faster at the start of this America's Cup if Burling does this right.
So the Americans are away, but they have a penalty right at the outset. Jimmy Spithill has gone across that line too quick, and Peter Burling will be able to capitalise from here.
So Burling actually just hung back there. He can just hang out right now. Oracle is going to have to slow down until they're 2 full boat lengths behind Emirates Team New Zealand. Unforced error from maybe the 2 weeks off, that little bit of unpractice.
And that, the area that so many people felt the Americans would hold the edge in. That start line, the pre-start in itself, they felt that Burling was possibly weaker in that department. But it is the Kiwi boat, Emirates Team New Zealand, who are flying up on their foils towards Mark 1 and already reaching speeds of 30 knots plus.
Mark's quite favoured at the bottom, but we'll just have a look and get down there. Pretty happy left at the moment, fun job.
So the penalty now wiped out by the Americans, but they're the ones playing catch up. And the New Zealanders out in front at the first mark.
Here is what the world has been looking for. We haven't had much of a speed test here so far, but the stability of tacking and jiving. We know Emirates Team New Zealand is very strong in this light breeze, and I think the breeze is down a little bit right now. We're down to about 9 knots. Let's see how Oracle competes in this jiving and tacking, these maneuvers, compared to the really sharp package that we've seen off of the Kiwi boat.
So the first jibe from the Americans, peeling off towards the other side of the course from the New Zealanders. Look at that setting, just look at that water. What a venue for top flight sport.
One part of art is the fact that, well, first of all, Oracle got so close, so tight, pulled the trigger early. Surprised Burling didn't try to pull the trigger. He just must have thought they were going to be over early and decided, okay, let's take our time here. But one part, once you're over early, to just try to drop back 2 boat lengths is almost impossible. It's acceleration in light air is such a critical factor and such an unknown that Oracle really had a hard time staying in tight after burning that penalty off.
Will be an early-ish tack though, Coffee. It'll be light down out of there.
There we see the grinders
Real good game here, boys.
of the American crew and the contrast with the Kiwi boat, with their guys operating this cyclor system, the legs driving the hydraulic power through the boat.
Set up once we're settled.
It's worked very well for them as they head round gate 2. Very stable, very consistent, very comfortable.
You heard Burling say, big game for us, boys. That means it's puffy out there. It's an easterly breeze. It's shifty. Look at that tack. I mean, just almost flawless on the tack. It's just something we've seen on and on and on. We keep talking about it. Puffy, shifty conditions, though. Oracle Team USA went from just behind to quite far behind in no time. Emirates Team New Zealand tacks early in order to kind of control the situation and stay in the same water in this puffy, shifty condition.
So the New Zealanders with a healthy lead at the moment, beyond 150 metres. And seemingly enjoying themselves in these early exchanges. And it's been noticeable, hasn't it, Ken, how relaxed they've appeared, both on the water and indeed off it.
I got to spend some time with them the other night, most of their crew in just kind of a casual dinner setting, and you'd have thought they were going out for a Tuesday night race at their local yacht club. It's really something that I guess we shouldn't be surprised anymore. It's been a consistent theme through this whole event, and yeah, we just shouldn't be surprised. Down the bottom left-hand corner, we see on the race course they're going up to gate number 3, so that this is a kind of a microcosm of the entire really narrow rectangular race course, and that's to show everybody at home in the world where they are in the race course and where they're heading. And they're going up to gate number 3.
And here the difference in the foils is immediately obvious. The kink on the Kiwi foil. That's why they've done that and what it does.
That light air package, both boats with their light air packages, and that kink, that big kink over here on Emirates Team New Zealand versus very straight. They're quite long. All the foils are quite long. The longer, the easier it is to lift, and that is definitely a necessity in light air. But the bottom line is very different approaches to try to achieve the same thing.
So the New Zealanders stretching it out. And sailing a very tidy race at the moment.
Happy for a little build here, 20 seconds. Puff coming as well, be careful.
Flight time is good for the New Zealanders in particular. That the amount of time, quite obviously, that their hulls are spending out of the water, minimising the drag.
Not a perfect tack by Oracle Team USA going in. This is actually what's called the parrot cam. This is on Peter Burling's shoulder, watching. Holy mackerel, I think if this goes too far, a lot of people at home will be getting seasick.
Yeah.
But yet another one. I think there's 7 cameras on each of the boats, and that is one of them. We're gonna find out more about America's Cup sailing and sailors than we probably ever wanted to know.
Yeah, I think that much is true. They're not allowed to sneeze without us finding out. One of the benefits of being able to get that close and personal. On board Oracle Team USA right now.
Big-headed.
5 degrees.
Two very different power systems. The conventional grinders, called coffee grinders on Oracle Team USA. Again, to power what's called an accumulator, to build up pressure, to make the hydraulic systems work, and can't get much more different. It's just an entirely different set of muscles. They're using their legs on New Zealand, and Oracle's using their arms.
You were remarking upon it just the other day, weren't you? The totally different body shapes of the two crews on that basis.
As human beings, different body shapes, and then very clearly different windage. I think everybody would agree that the Kiwis are much lower into the boat and have a much better windage package because of that system.
Keep pressing. Fine. Right forward. Okay, pressure is above you. Go good pressure in 5 seconds, just be patient.
That's the voice of tactician Tom Slingsby,
to start a good build now.
Who has actually left his grinding post, and he's trying to get his weight forward in the boat.
Really like to be fast in this one. Copy.
So every last nugget of information, absolutely key. But it's passed on between tactician
coming
and
into
helmsman.
a really light patch in general.
It's looking like a really good start to the campaign from the Kiwis. as they round gate 3 and head off downwind again.
I've got us going all the way to boundary for pressure here, Pete.
Boundary job.
Yep, copy.
Park's coming up.
Yep.
You hear the voice there of Blair
Lower
Tuke,
coming up too.
who is mic'd up, I believe, for the first time. So we haven't heard much from this group, and I think
Go and
Blair
have a look, Pete, yours.
Yep.
probably has a little more tactical input than we've given anybody credit for. You heard him say, let's go right to the boundary on this jibe, and great to hear these guys communicating a little more. It makes our life easier.
Don't go over it. Maybe driving back into this one. Yeah, let's stand by.
So now this lead being built to almost 500 metres.
I'm not opposed to
And
going
the New
back.
Zealanders really capitalising on that start line penalty incurred by Jimmy Spithill and his American team. Let's bring in Joey Newton, who's out on the water for us, part of Oracle Team USA. Joey, just how damaging was that penalty at the start?
Yeah, well, I mean, it put Oracle Team USA a little bit behind, and like Kenny was mentioning, it ends up being more than a couple of lengths, but that combined with the choice to split away at the first jibe, and then the race, you know, it ended up being what you're seeing now. And the Kiwis are doing a really nice job of just staying in between Oracle Team USA and the next mark. And there's really, unless they make a big mistake, it's going to be pretty hard for them to find a way around. They're sailing well.
You know, it's funny, Ali and Joey certainly has more experience right now than most of us in this stuff, but very often you love the first race of an America's Cup because you really get a feel for the boat speed, but because the boats have been so spread out, I'm not sure we've learned anything yet. Joey, have any trends that you see out there on the race course?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to tell. Like you said, the boats have been a long way apart. It'd be hard to argue that the Kiwis are slow. They've done a nice job of extending, but this easterly breeze is super puffy. It's got a lot of geography to get over before it comes down on the water. So there's a lot of shifts, a lot of puffs, and that's probably a bigger factor than the boat speed on the water now.
Very slick
Very
in
slick.
their coordination.
Yeah.
As we've seen throughout their time here in Bermuda, Peter Burling is running a very well-organised crew. Worth remembering as well, they start this match a point down. They actually have to win 8 races to win the America's Cup here. That on account of the Americans winning the qualifying round and gaining an extra point to bring into the match. So what a terrific start it would be for Emirates Team New Zealand if they could wipe out that point on the opening race.
This place, this America's Cup Village, which has been purposely built, including the land that we're sitting on here in Bermuda, has done nothing but be spectacular, not only for us and for the racing itself, but for the literally hundreds of thousands of fans that have come through here.
In 3, 2, 1, here we go. Real soft here, Jimmy. Yeah, wait forwards, boys.
So here's a little split that's happening right now. Emirates Team New Zealand rounded the other gate. They waited a little bit for their tack. If there's a chance to get back into the race right now, this may be it. Again, it's very shifty on the race course right now. Very puffy, very shifty, difficult for the tacticians.
I am. My foot's on it. 1, go. Got it?
So a lot of ground to make up, but one of the reasons that they will have headed off on the other direction, having split the course, the Americans, is to try to chase that breeze, try to steal a march somehow or other on the New Zealanders, who are just stretching away very, very comfortable at the moment.
Who's going to tell that kid he's in the first race of the America's Cup? Because clearly you can't see it on his face.
It's just a quiet weekend drive.
That's what it looks like.
He's enjoying the view. And no doubt he'll be enjoying the one behind him in particular, with Jimmy Spithill miles further back.
You've been calling it driving Miss Daisy, but I dare you to call any of those guys Miss Daisy.
The helicopter keeps getting too low in front of us. Would you ask them to move? Good pressure here. Close.
So it's looking pretty straightforward for the moment from Emirates Team New Zealand. They're going to have to make a proper mess of things if they're to blow this kind of lead from here. And you just don't see them making too many errors. Their error count is really low.
Yeah, look at the shape of that foil out of the water. If you wonder where really one of the very biggest differences is between these programs, and between Emirates Team New Zealand and the rest of the fleet, it's been in the shape of those dagger boards. There's been a lot of conversation. I've had it explained to me why people think it works. I've had the designer tell me why it works, and he may as well have been speaking ancient Egyptian at the time.
Well, whatever it's doing, it's working. It's working really, really well. They're in total command. This young, fearless team, and Peter Burling very keen to point out at the press conference yesterday, this is a almost entirely new crew from the one that suffered that heartbreak in San Francisco 4 years ago. Glenn Ashby, the only member of that crew who has been scarred in that way. So they carry no baggage here.
Well, keep in mind, Glenn Ashby is actually technically the skipper of the boat. He's given a ton of credit, not just for the innovation that we see in this boat. I've said it many times, maybe thought of as the best multi-hull sailor on the planet. But he's kind of the glue that kind of got this program, kept this program together through some tough times. And as the kind of quiet voice in the background, I think it's safe to say that Glenn Ashby deserves an awful lot of credit for the success of Emirates Team New Zealand to date, and obviously coming out of the blocks pretty well.
Yep, happy. Big pack. As far as you can, Pete, towards the pressure. Yep.
We've been watching Oracle Team USA tack and jibe. It doesn't look like they've had any really terrible maneuvers. That's not the best jibe by Emirates Team New Zealand there, but nothing seems glaring at this stage, although they are kind of sinking down in the water right now. It's only about 7.5, 8 knots of breeze out there right now. I think they're slowing down to try to cause a bit of a issue with Emirates Team New Zealand. I wonder if they did that on purpose. They would be the lured boat, which is the right-of-way boat, but it is lighter air. You see these guys not even trying to foil right now. Let's go back out to Joey Newton. Joey, breeze dropping.
Yeah, it seems to have, Ken. Just in the last 5 minutes, I thought both the boats were slowing down to sort of Jimmy was trying to engage the Kiwis, but it may have been that we're just seeing a real light spot up the top, because you can see Team USA not even foiling upwind anymore.
Should be pretty good there.
Yeah, the wind speed has dropped away to around about 9 knots. There's Tom Slingsby.
Take us or no? A little low now. Okay, we'll take.
Well,
hang on,
something
heading.
dramatic has got to happen
Pressure coming
on the part of the Americans here if they're going to find a way back in, because it looks like the Kiwis are long gone.
Here we go.
Ring rustiness?
Nah, listen, in a fluky day like today, this group is not going to be happy, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I think they've proven to the world that there's not a heck of a lot of panic in this group as well. So one race is one race. They'll regroup. They'll talk it through. I think Jimmy will be most frustrated with that starting line mistake and kind of timing. Might be a little rust, but they have been out sailing every day against Japan and then by themselves the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm guessing they don't use any of that as an excuse.
Yeah, where do you sit with that, though? Because it can go 2 ways, can't it? They can be underdone, or they could be nicely rested.
Fair point. I would say they'd give up the rest for the competition that these guys, I mean, these guys have been in hard case competition for the last 2 weeks while Oracle Team USA has been off kind of doing their own thing.
And no matter how much you practice, presumably it's like any other sport. Actually, that match competition is everything, isn't it?
You got it.
So the last leg of this apparent Kiwi win. Through the gate they'll go. The finish is a relatively short reach. Coming closer and closer to the shore, and all those thousands of fans, they like to call this stadium racing, and you can see why.
They're going to have to do a few more jibes here, though. This is an interesting breeze direction where the setup of the race course is through the bottom gate, and then they have to jibe one more time towards the finish, which is literally smack dab in front of our booth here at America's Cup Village. We're going to hear it from the Kiwi crowd, but I'll tell you what, this is not an easy way to finish right now. It's light air down here, and Oracle is screaming up from behind.
Well, that was a real, you said it, smack dab. That was one way you might have described that maneuver from the Kiwis.
They're building speed. They're sailing very high in order to build speed. They got very slow and very light in those last couple jibes. Let's see if Oracle can continue this pace. They're coming in fast right now, really fast.
So there is a sniff for the Americans, but it is only a small sniff at this point. Now the boat speed building from the New Zealanders, and they're safely away from trouble.
I don't think they're going to lay, though. They have one more jibe to go. They're close.
We're really struggling to lay.
You hear Burling saying struggling to lay. He's taking every puff down possible right now. Just when we were saying 500 meters was enough, Kiwis know how to make it interesting.
Well, we've seen it a few times, haven't we, out here in Bermuda? Those last-minute panicked maneuvers when things are not quite to perfection. But other than a few hiccups towards the end, the New Zealanders have made a storming start to the America's Cup match, exploding out of the blocks, wiping out that one-point advantage that the USA had, taking the initiative at the start with the American penalty. And I guess now we can say it is all square.
All square, that's exactly right. Wiping out that point. And that point, for those of you joining the America's Cup, that point was from Oracle Team USA actually winning that ladder round earlier, about 2-3 weeks ago. They won a ladder round against all of the challengers, and the winner of that took a point into the finals, and actually not taking a point, it actually made your opponent lose a point. So Emirates Team New Zealand started at -1 coming in, and now we're all square, back to even, and here we go.
Well, that error on the start line, a massive blow for Jimmy Spittle and Oracle Team USA. The New Zealand team, well, they never looked back. More action in a moment. But first, the America's Cup may be 166 years old, but it's always been a race on and off the water.
America's Cup has always been associated with technology, and the fact is the fastest boat has always won. And that's probably been the case, you know, way back 100 years ago, and it's pretty obvious that that's the way it's still going.
It is, and it always has been a design technology race. Even when you look back to the first race around the Isle of Wight, and it was very much about developing the materials for the sails. The technology made a huge difference in terms of sail design, and obviously naval architecture, you know, the materials available for the structure of the hulls of the boat, and then all the way through to 1983, and really that was one of the huge changes, was the wing keel. That was one of the key factors to Australia 2 being the first challenger to ever actually win the America's Cup and take it off the Americans.
Back in '83, we really saw people trying to hide ideas. Australia 2 was one of the first to use the shrouding, what we'd call the skirts, and they were just trying to hide that keel the whole time. And on the flip side, you know, the sort of the whole counter-surveillance stepped up on the other teams, and effectively the spying started.
In a competition, technology is only useful if you've got it and your opposition haven't. Every team have a team out there around the world trying to get the technology off their opposition. I think that's half of the game. Let's find out what they're up to and copy.
We have so many smart designers and engineers working on trying to make the boat go quicker, so the sailing team is the minority for sure now.
You look back to 2010, the Dida gift match between Larry Ellison and Ernesto Bertarelli in the giant multi-hulls, which then led into the multi-hull era and ultimately foiling multi-hulls.
I guess the more recent radical ideas have been foils.
It's a harnessing of nature in a way that absolutely blows me away still today, and you think we're 30 times faster than we were.
10 years ago, if you had said to me that we would be sailing around in foiling multi-hulls at close to 60 miles an hour boat speed, I would probably have laughed at you, so it'd be amazing to see where they're at in 10 years' time.
Race number 2 of the America's Cup match. New Zealand against USA, the oldest sporting trophy on the line and the best sailors in the world on these, the fastest boats in the world. It really doesn't get too much better than this. And the pre-start cat and mouse progressing.
So I think you're going to see Emirates Team New Zealand take a little bit of a left-hand turn here shortly. Spithill will start going after him and start pushing him, and there they go. There's that left-hand turn. Spithill gaps right off. 33 seconds to go. He's going to continue to keep pushing. He's going to push Team New Zealand right down to that ley line, that yellow line out here. That's kind of a line where you probably don't want to go too much further than, because you'll be going upwind into the wind and have a hard time getting back to the start. Oracle much more aggressive in this pre-race.
Jimmy Spithill has really gone after it this time around, determined to make up for the error. Peter Burling hot on his tail. Both the boat speeds very different to how they were in race 1, but they are all clear. They both are across the line now.
Acceleration contest now. Who's up in their foils and who can accelerate the quickest? Remember, Emirates Team New Zealand from that slightly higher, maybe faster angle. Can they get down over the bow and use their wing wash to push Oracle back again? And there they are. They're pressing. They're not even heading for the mark. They're pressing over the top of Oracle and roll over the top again. Burling, 2 for 2 on the starts. I don't think anybody was expecting to hear that call. And really upset. I mean, really intense about it. Look at this. Oh.
Well, it's just as if it's the most natural thing in the world to him right now to be in charge of this flying machine at nearly 30 knots of speed, leading the veteran Jimmy Spithill up to mark number 1. For the second time this afternoon, he's the one who's dictating the terms of this event. And Jimmy Spithill, the man who has been successful in the last 2 America's Cups, is the one who's chasing.
Might get a little better read on the boat speed in this contest. They're rounding at similar boat speeds at similar times, probably in similar puffs. You know, that again, that dark water, they're aiming for the dark water. That means that's wind speed.
Okay, let's stand by.
Better wind speed.
Equalize. Okay, happy?
Critical first jibe.
1. Very light, Tommy. Very light. Got no depth, mate. Put it in when you can.
As ever here, the key element, the smoothness of the manoeuvre, to minimize the drag and make sure that the boat speed stays as consistent as possible.
But I think we saw a 3 or 4 knot speed difference in that jibe. And look at Emirates Team New Zealand carries that speed difference into all of a sudden a 130-meter lead. Probably a ley line. We look in the lower left corner. They're probably zooming in on ley line into this bottom gate. Oracle will look for a split most likely at the bottom gate, at gate number 2.
So the ley line, those 2 yellow lines to each side of the screen, which gives you a good indicator as to the best possible path to make the gate in 1 without further manoeuvres.
Might be an early tag. He does.
Wow, New Zealand is absolutely tearing it up at the moment.
Right, both sides are
Sits up.
They're all on their Code 1 jibs today, lighter air jibs. This is the biggest headsail that either boat can possibly carry. They're one design jib, so all the sails for the first time in history are actually one design. Exactly the same shape, size, and mold.
2, 1, here we go.
There's no difference there.
We're close here, boys. Okay. A little further. We're going to attack early here.
Play catch up.
Stand by.
This was not really part of the game plan. Not part of theirs anyway.
Standing by. 3.
We're looking at match racing here going on right now, Ali. This is very much different than a lot of the multi-hull match racing we've seen in the past. Boats tacking on each other. You know, this is much more classic match racing that guys like Joey Newton and I have done over the years, especially in monohulls. Joey, we saw that other red and black boat from New Zealand look pretty quick on that first run.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be hard to argue they were going slower down that first run. They had a really nice jibe and a really nice mode straight into the left-hand mark. So yeah, they stretched out pretty quickly in that one.
I wonder how much angst and concern there is in American ranks right now after these early skirmishes, Ken. They're already beginning to think, wow, okay, we've got a bit of an issue here. We've got a New Zealand team who look to be on top of their game in a very quick boat.
There's no doubt about that, especially we all thought in lighter air they'd be good. I'm not so sure we thought they'd be this good. A little more breeze maybe forecast for tomorrow. And by the way, this race isn't over yet, but from what we've seen so far, Kiwi fans around the world are kind of licking their chops.
High up on their foils, the Cyclores head down, singular of purpose.
A little lull here, and then we'll get a race.
Peter Burling sunbathing with a Scotch egg in his back pocket.
Just pure boat speed right now. It could be a little more wind pressure out on the race course where they are, but true wind direction, a little more of a right-hand shift.
And you always say to me that the VMG, the bottom number in those blocks, is the key one. Just explain that for people new to the sport.
Well, it's hard to, when a boat tacks or jibes, all these numbers get a little skewed, but prior to Oracle actually tacking right there, you just saw all the numbers in New Zealand's favor. They were in a better right-hand wind shift. They were going faster, and their VMG was better. If you're a sailor, that is the holy grail of a combination of factors with regard to speed.
In general, I think we're going to sail a bit faster.
Looking like a pretty significant one.
Just a little. I think we're sailing quite a bit higher and slower. Real light here, guys. Pressure looks the other way. Light increase. Okay, let's stand by here.
Slingsby talking about higher and faster, higher and slower. That's a mode. They can change their modes on the boat as to how they want to sail the boat upwind. Higher meaning closer to the wind and a little bit slower in boat speed, or lower and a little bit faster away from the boat speed. It seems like the Kiwis are doing whatever they want at will in those radical turns sometimes.
Just another super quick tack. The way they throw those bows round in double quick time, and yet they're bang on the ley line. They're heading for gate 3. They're moving at 25 knots. They're going as well in the Kiwi world, seemingly.
They're going to loop right around that mark right there and just extend big time, just on really good tactics. And they're going faster. Watch them come screaming into this top gate. They're going to have another 500-meter lead here in no time. think that motor sound is the actual hydraulics working the wing. That's Glenn Ashby. He actually doesn't even have a winch on this boat. He just went to look, lured by the way, he just went to look around the other side of the wing to make sure they weren't going to interfere with Oracle. They want nothing to do with Oracle at this stage. Stay away, stay clear, just keep doing your thing.
And by and large, that's been their policy throughout their time here in Bermuda, hasn't it?
Very fair point.
They like to keep their noses clean and sail their own race. Jimmy Spithill would love to drag them into a dogfight.
Pressure's above you, lifting pressure. Got it in 5 seconds. Lay lines are terrible on the box.
No let up for the grinders.
Last up on 4, 3, 2, 1, good puff. Last up to the way.
Maybe go back out to Joey Newton. There's nothing that appears obvious to us looking at the screen, Joey. Is there anything that appears obvious to you on the water? This is a pretty big discrepancy.
Not really, Ken. I mean, there's the obvious sort of foil difference shape that we're seeing, sort of big, more kinked shape and maybe a tiny bit longer on the New Zealand boat. I think, you know, Pete's sailing really well, Blair's making really good calls, and once they get in front, they're just sort of piecing all the wind shifts and the puffs of breeze together and extending away. They're just doing a really nice job of sailing the boat, I think.
Through this entire series, and Joey, thank you for that. Through this entire series, since race number 1 of those ladder rounds early on, Team New Zealand has not lost a race that they have been ahead at mark number 1.
Yep. 30 seconds to bow. Drive, sorry. Yep. Softer on that bow, copy? Yep. Now what's the numbers say? Yeah, numbers are good.
On board with Team New Zealand.
And it's usually minimal, the conversation, but it's clipped, it's precise, and it's just exactly what everybody needs and nothing more.
That is the sign of a well-oiled machine, my friend. That is exactly how you want it on any sailboat, for that matter, not just an America's Cup foiling catamaran.
Pressure over our shoulder, though.
And at the heart of it all is Peter Burling, 26 years old, unflustered, ice cool, very instinctive. And I was reading a fascinating piece about him, Ken, in one of the newspapers from New Zealand, which was just talking about his real natural feel for any kind of race course, his ability to spot wind shifts, to just be in the right place at the right time.
I do a lot of offshore racing. Let's make sure he doesn't go into offshore racing.
Put a blanket ban on him. Extend your career another few years, Kenny.
This is dominant, huh? This is just fully dominant right now. Interesting that we are hearing Blair Tuke and Glenn Ashby certainly giving a little more information to Peter Burling. We were under the impression that he was doing most of this tactical wind shifts, positioning himself, but clearly we have a couple microphones maybe on the boat that we've never had before, and we're hearing quite a bit more from Ashby and Tuke with regard to just helping position the boat on the race course.
Slowly up on the breeze here.
You look at Jimmy Spithill, his hands on the wheel right there. He's actually moving the foils fore and aft with those twist grips on the steering wheels in order to control the flight of the boat. I mean, nothing looks crazy slow, you know. Nothing looks out of whack on board Oracle, except for the fact that they're 650 meters behind.
Well, if there were toys being kept in the shed on shore, the Americans are going to have to empty the box.
Going to have to go look again.
Get the numbers rolling.
Always difficult to try to establish exactly what is kept up anybody's sleeve at any given moment in the America's Cup campaign, but you would expect that if there were new little details and adaptability to their design, they would have done all that in advance of today.
Especially this light air forecast has been in the mix for a long, long time. For as far out as the weather forecast really can be very accurate. And they've known exactly what's coming, so you would never think they're keeping anything back. Not a perfect tack. They didn't get the board down early enough for Emirates Team New Zealand. Kind of a rare, unperfect, if that's a word, unperfect tack from Emirates Team New Zealand.
Imperfect.
Imperfect, unperfect. Is that the difference between American English and English?
So we got 5 of 7, and the New Zealanders are looking in total control right now as we get a decent perspective as to where they are on the race course from the helicopter hovering up above.
Just look at these VMG numbers again. Even though they're on opposite tacks, they're both settled in. New Zealand is a little out of whack right now because they're on what's called the headed side of a wind shift. Angled away from the line. These VMGs, when the two boats line back up again, these VMG numbers are super critical. You've got to imagine all the teams are watching it, or all the players from each of these teams are watching it very closely.
Just to be clear, the VMG, the combination between boat speed and angle.
Correct. And the wind direction has a big, is a variable obviously involved there, but it's how close to the wind and how fast you're going. You can go closer to the wind and slower. You can go further away from the wind and faster. The VMG is that perfect combination between the two.
Coming up here. Got no can. Yep.
Kiwis, because of the narrowness of the race course, every once in a while you're kind of forced into a wind shift that you really don't want to be on. I think the Kiwis have been headed a little bit on both sides in the last 2-3 minutes. Headed meaning not the perfect wind shift, and Oracle's got it back to 300 meters. They've almost halved the distance in a very short period of time based on the wind strength. Shifty out there. Very, very shifty in the wind.
Okay, starting to soften a little. Mark, you like slingers?
Clawing their way back into this contest, the Americans.
Tom Slingsby is looking at probably as an instrument right there that is helping him tell what the wind direction is. He's looking on the water for the dark spots, and he's probably using that instrument in his hand in order to help him figure out, is the true wind direction, is the wind direction working for them or against them?
Copy. Okay, get a building here, Jimmy. A little bit up. Okay, stand by. Looking for good numbers here, Jimmy. Big trim, big trim. It's going to be a foiler. 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn it. Big gains here, guys. High groove. Actually, VMG.
They're helping us out there, right? VMG, which means they just go normal. Sometimes you say high groove because there's a puff to weather of you, which means closer to the wind. Sometimes the puff is right in front of you. You want to leg into it. Huge gains on this wind shift on the last 3 or 4 minutes from just wind shifts. Really well done by Slingsby. This is all of a sudden a boat race.
Well, they were thrilled with that last foiling tack, weren't they? And look, they are gaining all the time on the Kiwis.
Kiwis better get up on their foils quick. If there's an overlap here, they're in big trouble. Oracle will have the right of way. They just barely get up on their foils on time. Barely.
Springhill is breathing down Burling's neck right now and applying the pressure all the time. And there's the protest from the Americans. So we await the decision from the chief umpire, Richard Slater. Will the Kiwis be a penalty down? No, they will not. They're free to go. But this is game on.
We were calling that the wind shift seems to be out of sorts for Emirates Team New Zealand from about halfway up that leg on. And sure enough, big shifts. But Oracle gets very slow in their jibe down to 8 knots, and the Kiwis are going 18. So all of a sudden, they get back in the race and just have a bad jibe, a super slow jibe. Oh, disappointment for Oracle Team USA fans.
Pressure's coming back. Okay, ready, Langer? Standard judge.
What a crushing blow after all that hard work, reeling in the Kiwis. Now all of a sudden they're 350 meters further back.
Really low pitch.
That could have been a combination of just a light air patch, but they were almost in the same water. Whether we'll have to ask later. Look at this last leg. So watch the Kiwis. The Kiwis go to that boundary and then they tack and they have a really horrible angle coming back again. Oracle Team USA, look at the difference from there to there of the wind shift that Oracle is in. Massive gains. And sure enough, the same thing again. Oracle comes back at them in a wonderful wind shift, enough to make this race incredibly close, literally within a meter at one stage, but one bad jibe by Oracle, whether it's a puff of wind or just technique in the jibe, just spreads this thing out. They lost almost 300 meters in a jibe. Any sailor would think that's like literally impossible, but welcome to foil and catamaran sailing.
Well, it is a cruel blow, and we've seen, haven't we, throughout hard time here on the Great Sound, that just one relatively small error, that was quite a big one, but a relatively small error can cost you 150, 200 meters. This one much more costly than that for Jimmy Spithill.
A wonderful number by all of our folks back in the truck to figure out how many meters lost in that one jibe. That's going to go in the history books, I think. That is the new sailing that we are becoming more accustomed to all the time.
Copy. Okay, 10 away, boys. 5.
I'm going to guess they do this last little bit into the finish much better than they did the first time around. Better lay line through the gate. The pressure's kind of off with regard to where Oracle. Look at how far behind Oracle is.
Very light out.
A meter away.
You're right.
Still the Cyclones put it in. Every last ounce of their being is being left out there on the racetrack, but it is all paying off because they are having quite the day, the New Zealanders. They're through the last gate. They are tearing up towards the finish line.
As we've said many times, put the brakes on quick, boys, or you're going to be in somebody's rum drink very, very shortly.
What a day for Peter Burling and Emirates Team New Zealand. What a start to their match. A blistering opening. Laying down the gauntlet to the Americans. It is shaping up to be a brilliant duel, but the Kiwis have torn it up today. 2 wins from 2. They need 6 more wins and the trophy will be theirs, but they have started in the best possible fashion.
That is Kiwi jubilance like we've never seen before. A couple of handshakes and a nice job, and that's all you're going to see out of these guys, I guarantee it.
I'll tell you what, you put the wind up,
really just begun.
We're doing 50 BMG. It's going.
So we're hearing those little chuckles. That's coming from the New Zealand boat, needless to say. There won't be too much laughing on board Oracle Team USA. A chastening afternoon here in Bermuda for Jimmy Spithill and the rest of his crew.
Wondering how that went so badly, so fast up at that last gate. What was a miraculous comeback turns into really, unfortunately, a shocking defeat. That's going to be a disappointed group.
The right turn here, Logan.
Yep.
Bad luck, guys. Good luck, boys.
Yeah.
Got to keep hanging in there.
Keep hanging in there is the message from the helmsman, Jimmy Spithill. He's been through the mill before. He knows there's every chance. He knows what it takes to launch a comeback. Think back just 4 years ago, of course, the best and biggest of them all, the most dramatic of them all. We're not at that stage, but the Kiwis have got their noses in front here on the Great Sound, and the Americans now have it all to do. New Zealand, having started this opening day of the match, 1 point in arrears. They're now a point up. First to 7 race wins for the trophy.
What a dominant start from the New Zealanders. 2 impressive race wins on day 1. Well, I've been chatting to both the skippers. First up, America's Cup rookie, Pete Burling. Congratulations, Pete. First day as an America's Cup skipper. Pretty good start to your career.
Yeah, you know, we're really happy with the way the boys, you know, stayed composed out there today and, you know, did a lot of things really well, but, you know, at that same time, it was an incredibly tricky day and we also made a lot of mistakes. So, you know, we feel like we've got a lot to work on, a lot to improve on from today, and, you know, if we could get that same day again, we'd sail a lot better than we did today. But, you know, at the same time, to win the America's Cup, in our case, you've got to win 8 races. You know, we're really happy to take 2 today, but, you know, we're under no illusions that they're probably going to be the easiest races we get. And, you know, we're just going to keep improving, keep chipping away, you know, and keep trying to get better to win that final race.
Jimmy said he handed you that first race. Did it feel like that?
Yeah, well, I think he handed us the first start with, you know, the time he led back by, but no, it was definitely, you know, an incredibly tricky day, and I think even if we were behind today, you know, he had so many opportunities to come through, and we're really happy with the way we, you know, went about it. And, that composure the guys showed to keep ahead in that final race, you know, to force the issue at the top mark, get them off the foil, and then force a bad job was, you know, incredibly pleasing as to where we've come from as a team.
Jimmy, we're going to put today down to being a little bit rusty around the racetrack.
Yeah, look, we definitely made more mistakes than the other guys, and that's reflected in the results. Having said that, we still had a couple of opportunities to try and make a pass, which very, very close to happening. But, you know, we just couldn't make it happen. So, you know, a lot of lessons to be learned. We've got to go back tonight and spend a fair bit of time going through it. We're only one back, long way to go.
Pretty uncharacteristic mistakes from you in the pre-start.
Yeah, look, it was quite interesting. I mean, the first one we were actually initially happy with what we were doing, and then unfortunately it became quite clear that you know, the numbers weren't really what we were thinking. So we'll have to go back and look at that. The second one we're actually quite happy. We pushed him to the line early, thinking he was going to be very close to almost a flip of the first start, a risk of him being over, and we thought we'd be able to get off to leeward there, but he just out-accelerated us, unfortunately. So, yeah, very, very close. We had another opportunity at the top mark, and just a shame, really. We couldn't stick the jibe. But, you know, like I said, we really have to go back, learn why that happened, work on the consistency, and come back swinging tomorrow.
Lots to talk about from today's action. A man who's been watching very closely, Freddie Carr from Land Rover BAR. Freddie, there was much talk, wasn't there, about how weak the Kiwis were in the starting box. We didn't see any of that today.
That's right. All the talk before this match, before race 1, was how Jimmy Spithill from America was going to take it to the Kiwis and duff him up in the starts and lead him off the line. But today was the opposite of that. The Americans started a little early in race 1, got a bit carried away. That handed the race start to New Zealand and the whole race. And then in the second race, it got really exciting in the last 30 seconds. The Americans attacked the New Zealanders. The New Zealanders did an amazing job of holding them off, and all importantly pulled the trigger, started perfectly, and accelerated better into the race course.
It looked to me that the Kiwis had speed to burn. They could do what they want. Are they unstoppable?
We learned a lot about the Kiwis' speed in the lighter winds coming through the qualifying series, and to be honest, I think they've carried that into the America's Cup match. Oracle were confident that they could match them in the light airs, but there's no question after today that the Kiwis are the faster boat in the light airs.
It did seem, though, that you could never rest, you couldn't relax. It was never over today.
That's right. Round the last leeward mark of the last race, the second to last turning gate, the Kiwis, the New Zealanders, had a 400-metre lead, and by the top it was neck and neck. It was amazing how the race course, tactically, you could use the wind to get back into the race, and then one bad manoeuvre by Oracle Team USA, and that was race over, 2-0 to the New Zealanders.
Confident start from the New Zealanders. Just quickly, what can we expect tomorrow?
Tomorrow, potentially a bit more wind. So let's take everything we've learned about the speed today and rip that up. Tomorrow we're racing in medium airs. I'm expecting Jimmy Spithill and his American teammates to come out and go really hard tactically, but Pete Burling is answering all the questions that America throw at him at the moment.
Well, thanks, Freddie. For sure, it's going to be exciting day 2. And if you want to catch up with the highlights, watch on BBC 2 on Monday night at 11:15. That's it from Bermuda.